Welcome to News Long Beach, a news talk TV magazine produced by Voice Waves in partnership with Palacio de Long Beach and the public access digital network, PadNet. I'm your host, Andrea Sulsona, publisher and editor of Palacio, the only bilingual magazine in the city. On today's show, we'll be talking about affordable housing, Undocu Queer, listening circles, and a special training program for youth at the Long Beach Community Action Partnership. Housing is a constant struggle for many who live in Long Beach. To highlight those struggles, local nonprofit organization Housing Long Beach produced a 30-minute documentary titled The Cost of Living: The Faces of the Housing Crisis in Long Beach. Here's a clip.
I can say the ages that I really stopped being homeless was around, I want to say possibly now.
Vivimos en un closet, por cual me siento más mejor estar ahora en un departamento.
There were a lot of repairs that needed to take place when I moved in, like the stairwell would shake when cats would walk up it. There are still holes in the side of the building. There's a woman who lives on the first story, and that's her bedroom, and her window was broken, and you could just climb in.
Pero como los del City Hall que no saben, quiero que sepan que me le están perjudicando a mis hijos, y mis hijos también es parte de del futuro de esta ciudad.
But I want to share this story mainly because I don't want anybody else in my situation to have to struggle.
What I like about Long Beach most is a real sense of community here.
I call home my heart, because home is where the heart lives. So love is the home. If I could live with love, he'd never kick me out. I'd be his damn good roommate.
My name is Julian Cohey, and this is
my cost.
My cost of living.
Here today to speak with us about affordable housing are Kerry Gallagher, Executive Director of Housing Long Beach, and Michael Bohn, Design Director for Studio 111, a Long Beach architectural firm. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you today? Let's begin the discussion with a definition of the term affordable housing. Is this public housing or subsidized housing?
I'll let you go ahead, Michael.
Okay. The projects that we're working on, they're actually subsidized rents, and we've worked with senior housing, affordable housing, as well as family housing, and actually we have 3 projects in Long Beach. 2 of them are senior housing and 1 is a family housing.
Yeah, and a lot of people have misperceptions about what affordable housing is, and so you make a good point to clarify the difference between something like a Section 8 voucher or public housing. Affordable housing, by definition, means that you're only paying 30% of your income on rent. And so that would be defined then, of course, by your income structure. And so the affordable housing that we promote builds a subsidy into the development phase, and so it protects the rents as low so that families can afford it each month.
Okay. I want to go over an example. We looked at market rates for 3-bedroom rental apartments in Long Beach and found that they ranged from over $1,500 a month near downtown to over $1,600 on the west side, with more for other parts of the city. Well, if you do the math, someone would have to earn upwards of over $5,000 a month in wages to be at 30%. That's over $30 an hour in hourly wages. Doesn't sound like minimum wage to me. So why is affordable housing important?
Yeah, well, you're reflecting exactly the challenge that we see as housing advocates in Long Beach. So if we look at job projections locally, 8 of the 10 jobs with the most growth over the next 10 years are low-wage service sector jobs. Mm-hmm. So we have a booming tourist economy. We do create a lot of jobs in Long Beach, but they happen to be lower wage paying jobs. So when we talk about housing, this isn't about someone who is, unemployed or just doesn't, work hard. This is our workforce. They just happen to be in jobs that pay a little bit less. And so we need a housing segment that meets the needs of everybody in our workforce, because $30 an hour simply isn't feasible for a lot of folks.
Can you talk about why affordable housing is important to the health of the entire community?
Yeah, I can touch on it, and then I know Michael has some thoughts as well on neighborhood revitalization. But Housing Long Beach recently released a paper which can be found on our website, where we looked at the impacts on health and safety, childhood development, and even local economic vitality. And it was undoubtedly true that when people have a place that they can afford, right? When people have a place that is clean of roaches or mold, then their whole family thrives, but also the whole neighborhood thrives, because people are living healthier lives with less, exposure to toxins, but also children have space to do their homework. They're not, constantly leaving the house because there's just too many people there. And so it's consistent in neighborhoods that affordable housing improves the quality of life for everybody in the neighborhood.
I see two opportunities. I see a lot of jobs in downtown Long Beach that require, not everyone is making the incomes that were mentioned earlier. And having those folks be close by and be able to use public transit, such as the Blue Line and the bus system that we have in this city, is important. And so keeping some component of affordable housing within the city is very important from a sustainable and commuting perspective. And second of all, we actually look at these developments as ways to revitalize neighborhoods that maybe the private sector isn't ready to make a stab at developing there. And for example, our 200-unit senior housing project is now complete. The community wanted it to look like a market rate project, which we believe it successfully does. And that has triggered now some private sector development and improvements in the neighborhood, and some facade improvements. So we see these as the first tools to start to reinvigorate a neighborhood.
You're referencing the senior housing on...
Right. Anaheim and Long Beach Boulevard.
Okay. Which is lovely, by the way.
Thank you.
I think it's beautiful. What are some of the challenges to building affordable housing? And I'm going to ask another question. Who's going to pay for it?
Well, I think one of the challenges we always encounter from neighborhoods is the stigma that this is going to downgrade a neighborhood, and I do not want to live next door to a project like this. And we've had very educated folks that usually are very rational say things like that and have these concerns. And in reality, once they're completed, we find that they've raised the bar of the neighborhood. These folks become stakeholders in the neighborhood, long-term stakeholders that are critically needed, particularly on the west side, where some areas and neighborhoods are 95% rentals and very transitional. You want to have folks that really plant a flag in the ground and care about the neighborhood.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I would echo that one of the biggest challenges is certainly perception. And the other challenge is exactly as you said, is funding. Previously, California had redevelopment agencies, and they generated a lot of money to bring economic vitality to communities, and 20% of those monies were required to go to affordable housing. So Long Beach used to have about $25 million a year to work with as far as investment in affordable housing. A few weeks ago, our city council passed a budget with zero new dollars for affordable housing. So we don't even have enough money to build one unit. So funding is one of the biggest challenges we're facing. And now local municipalities, in order to be competitive for the state and national grants that still exist for housing, really need to identify local sources of funds. So there's a few ways that you can do that. One is something that we promote at Housing Long Beach called a commercial linkage fee. And it places a small fee on new development space for retail and commercial development, and essentially creates a jobs and housing balance, so that as we are creating jobs with new economic development, we're also investing into a pot for housing. The other solution that we touch on is a mixed income housing ordinance, and this is really important because the funding stream comes through the development of market rate developments. So what a mixed income housing ordinance does is it requires that a percentage of all new development be protected with affordability. So for example, 10% of all new apartments would be protected for a very low income family. And this is a really sustainable way to build, because as long as you're building new units, there's a portion for families who make lower wages. And so the money is actually coming through the market rate structure. This model can be critiqued because folks will say, well, that will kill development. People won't come here if we ask this. But almost 200 cities in the state of California already have mixed income housing ordinances, and it's been proven that none of those cities have lower rates of development than any city without them. So folks will come, they'll keep developing in Long Beach, and we'll get to see a community asset that's brought to better our entire city.
Okay, so what can all the people in our community do to help find more solutions or be part of the solution that you're talking about?
Well, with Housing Long Beach, we have currently the city's writing an 8-year plan called the Housing Element. And so for the last year, we have been at the table meeting with the city, meeting with residents, involved in the process to help influence this document, influence this plan, and create positive change for Long Beach. So people can get involved in the campaign, attend a meeting with their city council member, join us for a meeting at City Hall, come to a community forum. We're out talking to voters about these issues as well. And so there's always ways to get involved to advocate for more quality and affordable housing.
Okay, well, thank you both for being here today and joining us and learning more about this issue and informing the community about it. We hope that the conversation doesn't end here. For more information about affordable housing, visit www.housinglb.org. You can see the projects from Studio 111 at www.studio111.com.